Hey, we're in the lull period. We got a lot to talk about regarding our Detroit Lions. Not really a lot to talk about, but stuff to talk about before NFL training camp. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the most improved players who I think will improve from last year into this year, my top 5 list. And it would definitely be a good thing for our Detroit Lions because these players need to be part of this football team for us to take that next step from a good team to winning the NFC North team to winning a playoff team and ultimately potentially have a chance to compete for the NFC and a Super Bowl, because when you have a team like that, everything's got to be right. Everything's got to be going full on correct. You got to have all your players in the 53 be on the same page, because being a great team requires greatness from everybody. So we're going to get into this list and give you my thoughts. But also, if you have players that you think are going to improve that I do not have, put it in the comments section. Let's start a forum, in a sense, kind of like Mark Warren's forum. Let's start a forum so we guys have conversation. That's what it's all about. But before we get into today's video, if you're a fan of the Detroit Lions and you like to hear it from a fan perspective as well as a former player, then you need to subscribe to this channel, because that's what it's all about. Lions Nation Unite. We get content creators like myself, Dose of Dion, and we get former players like Herman Moore. Let's go ahead and get this thing going, even with the intro right here to make it right. These are in no particular order, by the way, so it's not like 1 through 5. This is just 5 most impactful players without order. And I'm going to start with my first guy here. How about Joshua Paschal, the edge rusher / interior guy that we got last year in the draft? He started to show a little bit after the injury last year. I think, though, with a full off-season, full training camp, mini camps, all the camps, he's going to be an impactful player for the Detroit Lions defensive line, both in the interior and on the edge. We just seen him get better. And there's a lot of times last year you didn't even know he exists because there's so much talent on this defensive line. He'd be the guy that is forgot about. But I don't think you're going to forget about him this year. This guy is going to really help stop the run and get to the quarterback as well. I think the impact that you've seen from Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston, I don't know if he's going to have that type of impact, because that's a very big impact, but he's going to be a really good piece to the Detroit Lions defensive line in rotation and help stop the run. I think that's part of his game that's really going to be noticed here. Him and other players such as Broderick Martin and Lee McNeil will help out, but he's going to be used on this defense. He's going to make a major impact for our Detroit Lions, and I think it's really important to have him out there making an impact, because when you invest a second-round pick on a Joshua Paschal, you want him to do it. But, again, having a full offseason, having all the time fully healthy going into it is going to make a major difference for Joshua Paschal, and I expect the world from him this year. And if the Detroit Lions are going to get after the passer and they're going to make that playoff run, and you got to have these players defensively. You're going against the Patrick Mahomes of the world. And if you do get into the NFC, we're talking about the playoffs, you got to go against Jalen Hurts. You got to go against San Francisco 49ers. So everybody on that defensive line must be a big part of this football team. My next player on my list is a player you may not expect. How about Halapoulivaati Vaitai? I think he must have an impact for the Detroit Lions on the right side. He did not play last year, and we expected this Lions offensive line to be top 3, top 4 last year, and everybody was looking good until the injury to Big V. Did not participate. He took a major pay cut. I think this year, though, he's going to be an integral part, and he's going to be a big reason why this offense is going to give Jared Goff all the time in the world. Continuity for the Detroit Lions offensive line. Remember, when he was healthy, he was one of the best offensive linemen on the team. Lomas Brown told me he was the best offensive lineman, he thought, on this football team. So, and how he performed when he was healthy 2 years ago. So if he can come back to perform the way he was, this is a major victory for the Lions. Again, he didn't play all last year. He had the back injury. So with him able to be in training camp, able to play, the Lions' offensive line takes a next step going forward. And it's such a great piece to the right guard position because Graham Glasgow, to me, is not as talented as Big V. And look, we got Sorsdale, but I still think Big V right now is the guy that is the best offensive guard right now on the right side. And I think we got to have him to make this offensive line complete. I think he takes that jump. I think he's healthy, and the Lions are in a good position to make this offensive line top 3 with him at the right guard position. Let me know in the comment section right now who is a player you think is going to be the most improved. Name the player. It could be offense, defense, or special teams. Let me know the player on your list. My next player on my list is Romeo Okwara. Why do I have him as one of the most improved players on this team? Because obviously he was injured last year. And injury results in not playing, but when he did come back at the end of the year, he was making an impact. He had 2 sacks in 1 game, and I think now full offseason, with him being healthy, he's going on this rotation of a defensive line where there's a ton of players. Joshua Paschal, James Houston, who's going to be rushing the passer, Aiden Hutchinson, just a lot of players on this. It's going to even make Okwara better. Remember, before he got injured, he was one of the best edge rushers on our team, 10 sacks. A lot of people wanted the Lions to put the franchise tag on him a couple of years ago. They didn't do it, and they extended him. He is a veteran. He is a good edge rusher. It's just been injuries. And I think this year, him being healthy, the Lions take a massive step. And hopefully he can get back to his double-digit sack total. I don't know if that's possible because we got a lot of edge rushers who's going to be there. But I think it's possible for Romeo Okwara to get back into that double-digit sack total. And if that's the case, the Lions should make the playoffs. If they can get production from a Romeo Okwara and everybody else, it will be huge. Charles Harris is in that same boat with Romeo Okwara. I didn't put him on this list, but he's the same type of player, right? Injured player. You expect something from him. They're both going to be here, and it's going to help the team out. So I expect big things from Romeo Okwara, and I expect him to be one of the most improved players for our Detroit Lions. Next player, number 4 on my list, again, it's not in any rank. It's just the number 4 I have, is Jameson Williams. I understand he's going to be suspended for the first 6 games of the year, but he didn't do anything impactful last year. And I think he's going to have a full offseason and training camp, full minicamp, preseason as well, because he can play in the preseason. He is not going to be playing in the first games, but he'll have somewhat of rapport. He's got 11 games after that to get on there and make a major impact. I do think him and Jared Goff get on the same page probably by week 10, and he's making a big impact for the Lions offense. The play action pass will be ridiculous. Again, Jahmyr Gibbs out there on offense playing whatever he does in the slot or as a running back is going to make it even more open for Jameson Williams. And he's going to get those deep shots. He's going to get those big plays. He'll get more jet sweeps. I think that Jameson Williams, when on the same page with Jared Goff, is going to be one of the best playmakers in the NFL. He has that Tyreek Hill ability. He just have not had the time with Jared Goff and Ben Johnson to understand everything to get on that same page. That has been the problem with Jameson Williams, and I think that problem gets negated this year, and he makes a major impact on the Lions offense. He has to. To trade up from 32 to 12, you have to. He's had a rough start to his Lions career, but it changes this year. I think he can be very dangerous when we get to the end of the season, when we're trying to make that run, and teams will have to scheme for him, and it just make this offense prolific. That is when we need him too, is when we're trying to make that run, and he's full on board. I think that will be very good for the Lions offense. My last player on my list is definitely going to be a surprise. A lot of people's not going to expect this player, but I think it's going to make an impact. And that is tight end James Mitchell. Drafted this guy last year in the 5th round. Really he was a 3rd-round talent, but again, due to injury, like the rest of these guys, he had a full off season. He can get in there and practice. But with Sam Laporta out there, the rest of the Lions' skilled players, running backs and wide receivers, it's going to give James Mitchell a chance to help in the block game as well as in the pass game. Remember, this guy is a pretty good blocker. And just because you're not seeing on the stats, it does not mean you're not making an impact. His blocks will be really helping the Lions' run game out, and on critical plays, he can catch the football. He's did that in college, and he can do that here. And when a lot of people is going to be paying attention to Sam Laporta at the tight end, they're going to forget about the guy James Mitchell out there making an impact for the Lions, being an improved player for the Lions. It may not be on the stat sheet 24/7, but make no mistake about it. It's going to be happening for the Lions out there. And you're going to be watching on the film and seeing him make those pivotal blocks. And this team will do the right thing. So those are my 5 most improved players for the Detroit Lions from 22 to 23. Let me know your thoughts on my list. Also, give me your list. Maybe you have other players out there that I did not mention. I want to see what you guys going on here. Folks, we are dropping videos every single day. We are live on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because that's how you don't miss out on the latest news rumors regarding our Detroit Lions.